Fun one, right? Good to know people's names. I try. I don't purposely say them, right? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a very special day, and it's wonderful to be with all of you. You know, all across West Virginia, there are heroic actions that take place almost every day. And many times, these actions go unnoticed by citizens around the state, by the general public. They're sometimes uncovered by the media. And I think it's nice every now and then to tell some stories about our heroes, our brave men and women who do so many great things for our state. So every year, it's been a tradition that the governor tries to recognize a few individuals who've gone above and beyond the regular call of duty. And that's why we're here today. The West Virginia Medal of Valor was created in 2020 for emergency medical service personnel, firefighters, and law enforcement personnel who distinguished themselves conspicuously by gallantry and other acts, and they risked their lives above and beyond the call of duty in the performance of their duties. The program established a first responders honor board within the Department of Homeland Security. And that board recommends candidates to the legislature to receive the Medal of Valor. In fact, a few of the board members are here in attendance today. I'd like to recognize a few of them if they're around. I see some of them maybe. We have Brandon Atkins. Brandon here? Brandon's back there. Okay. We have Russell Emmerich. Russell is back there. You guys should come on up. Come on, guys. Don't be shy. And then Sheriff Crawford. Where's Joey? Oh, come on, buddy. I've got some great hero stories for him, too. Come on, Sheriff. Come on up. This is the guy that crawled into those water tanks. Remember the chemical spill? Did the investigation. Does a great job. So I've always been grateful for him for your work you did when he was with the Attorney General's office. So this year, the Honor Board recommended two heroic individuals to the West Virginia legislature. And early this morning, the House and Senate passed resolutions to award two individuals one of West Virginia's highest civilian honors, the Medal of Valor. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about these West Virginia heroes. Darrell Lambert. Darrell is a resident of Mill Creek in Logan County, where he serves on the Lake Volunteer Fire Department. In his 39 years of service, think about that, 39 years, Darrell is known for his outstanding abilities and his skills. He's very well known for removing people from car wrecks. A pretty good skill to know about. That's one of his many duties as a volunteer firefighter. On February 17th, 2021, he was off duty and he was driving on Mill Creek when his department was paged for a big structural fire. Darrell was close to the address and responded immediately in his personal vehicle. Within 2 minutes of the page, he was on the scene. After arriving, he noticed an open door on the side of the structure, and a man yelled that his wife was inside. Darrell didn't hesitate. He entered the dwelling. He dragged the woman out of the house, and he drove down the driveway to safety. And let's put this in context. Darrell did this without any gear or concern about his own safety. He suffered burns to his forehead, the back of his neck, and his ear. Darrell, thank you very much for risking your life to help others. Very grateful. That's unbelievable. Then our second person is Donald Larson. Donald Larson, these guys have a lot of experience. He's currently in his 42nd year at the New Martinsville Police Department. Think about that, 42 years. He's dedicated his life to the New Martinsville community, the beautiful part of the state. Originally from Huntington, Donald joined the New Martinsville Police Department back in 1983 after he did a stint and served honorably in the U.S. Army. On January 4, 2008, then Patrolman Donald Larson received a welfare check for residents in New Martinsville. Upon arrival, At this particular location, he was checking to conduct this, he noticed two individuals on the floor. They were not moving. Donald made entry into the residence that was filled with fumes of carbon monoxide. He then proceeded to remove the individuals from outside the structure. He then entered the residence again to make sure there were no other people inside before returning to the two victims. Donald was sent to the emergency room where he was admitted for levels of carbon monoxide in his system. Thanks to Donald Larson and his quick actions, both lives were saved that day. Thank you. Sorry, Donald, your bravery. Wonderful. Right. It's pretty amazing. And now, because of these amazing acts, it is my distinct honor to present the West Virginia Medal of Valor to Darrell Lambert and Donald Larson. Start here, sir. Half of the state of West Virginia, thanks to Valor, that is so fortunate serving the village. Thank you. Sir, on behalf of the citizens of West Virginia, you're amazing, right? The work has been over a very long burn support all across West Virginia. They thank you. Everything you've done. I thank you. Thank goodness you have, like, thank you. All right. So, thank you everyone for being here today. We know that West Virginia is really proud of our heroes and everyone that serves in all communities across the state. If you're a first responder, if you're a law enforcement official, so many people that are doing volunteer work. We have so many of the best first responders, law enforcement officials, volunteers in the country. And as governor, I want to do everything I can to support them. So I'm so blessed to be here today to share this podium with these two incredible folks. And with that, I would say thank you, and we'll take some pictures, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. But first, let's step out here, get a picture with the gentleman. Second, and I want to make sure I take any questions that the media may have. Anyone? Hey, Stephen. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
It's on second reading in the House today. It's going to be taken up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Senate Finance Committee is beginning to move their version of it this afternoon. Both are very different. Both are more traditionally the way they've been doing it the last several years. But different from what you've done, particularly with taking one-time money out of it, trying to weed some of that stuff out of it. So what type of conversations are you having right now with leadership of both the House and Senate as we get ready to get to the finish line on this?
Well, we are having conversations. In fact, I think, Stephen, you may have seen some of them a little bit earlier. We've been meeting regularly with the House and Senate leadership because it's important to have dialogue and to go back and forth. And I think what you have here is a process. The House has an important opinion, the Senate has an important opinion, the executive has an important opinion, and so you have these three groups that come together, and then you try to reach a budget that everyone agrees on. I think that's what's going on right now, and so we've been having good, productive meetings. I think that you'll see the nature of the process evolve over the next week or so, but I expect that this is going to be a budget that everyone can say is very positive for the people. And I think that there are going to be a lot of really good things that I've been championing, and there are going to be some things that the House is championing, things that the Senate is championing. That's what makes the process work, the give and take. So I'm feeling good about the discussions that we have. Obviously, we still have a long way to go between now and day 60, but I'm here, I'm working. You know, whenever people want to come meet with me, I'm going to go off to meet with them as well, and we're going to put the people first. We're going to make sure that we do the right things on the budget to make the kind of structural changes that are going to be addressing issues into the future. I have confidence by the end of the process that's going to happen.
Governor, with the proposed budget, we've seen $30 million of proposed cuts to West Virginia University. Is this alarming, or is this streamlining what needs to be done?
Look, I think that this is a process, and we're going to watch to see how the process evolves, and there'll be money that's taken out, there's money that's put back in, but I think after the House moves its bill through, the Senate moves its bill through, you're going to see some evolution of these bills. That's the natural way it happens. So I'm not going to speculate as to where everything's going to land at this stage, but I will say that I am busy and our team is busy. We're reading every single part of this, every bill, every part of the budget, because we want to make sure that we're engaged and we want to work in a constructive manner with the legislature to make this a successful year.
When it comes to bills coming to your desk,
Yeah.
you know, the elementary discipline bill is making its way. How do you feel about that? Do you think that helps teachers?
Well, I've heard good things about it, and I'm eager to go through and read it. Obviously, that's important. I try to read the bills that come through, so I am going to be working on that. I think it did finally get through. I don't know if it's come to my desk yet. Is it about to?
It completed today, so it should be
She'll
done.
complete it, so they'll probably send it down today or tomorrow. So we'll go through and read it, but I've talked to some of the folks who have been pushing it. They were saying good things, so I know there's some problems that have to get addressed. That's why the legislature focused on that. So we're going to look closely at that and analyze it. And obviously, as I go through the process, I'll read it, I'll get back to you. But the early indications are positive. I just have to make sure every bill that it meets all the requirements to become a law.
Hey, Governor. So last Friday, your office released a statement, just an update, a general update about the federal BE program.
Oh, yeah.
Broadband in West Virginia. And in that statement, you said that there was a 90-day extension for us to apply. And I just sort of wanted to know how that 90-day extension is going to sort of affect the state's timeline for these broadband rollouts. Because obviously that's an extra 3 months.
Yeah. It's a good question. So West Virginia's application was originally due on April 18th. So as you always try to do, you try to communicate with people when you're submitting requests for a lot of money. You want to make sure that everything looks good. So I was able to have a good meeting with the Commerce Secretary, Lutnick, and after that conversation, I think that we saw that there are going to be some changes to how the Trump administration is rolling out the BEAD program, and I think they're well-intentioned. They're trying to do a lot of positive things, and that'll be different than the Biden administration. So I think it's important for us when we're submitting to put our best foot forward to submit an application that is highly likely to be accepted. So this is going to give us the opportunity to look at where we are and to try to develop policy that's going to be consistent with where the Trump administration and the Commerce Department is, that can ultimately bring broadband to West Virginia at a much higher level. I'd like to see that. It could be such a big economic development project if we get this broadband money in. So, but I want to make sure I do it right. It would have been foolish to just submit something that's going to get rejected, right? So that was the nature of the process. That's why I traveled there, and I had a really good conversation with the Trump administration and the Commerce Secretary. And so now we're working on it, thinking those things through, and obviously going to try to get some additional guidance from the Trump administration as to how West Virginia can succeed in this application process.
So just a quick follow-up. In terms of the federal review of the program, do you have any more details about that you can share from your meeting?
Yeah.
Because obviously there has been a little bit of confusion there with what this federal review process will look like and how it will affect the program.
Well, I think that the Trump administration will obviously announce that during their time period when they're ready. So I don't have an announcement to make for you that today. But given the fact that there are going to be some changes, obviously my first reaction was I didn't want to have a late application, right? Because there's a lot of money at stake. So, as an attorney, a former attorney general, I understand the importance of getting things right, being technically correct, and having deadlines in place. So that's why we went in, because we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence. So I don't have many more details. As I learn more, I'd be happy to share with you. But we are looking closely to at the different ideas that we've heard them talk about, technology neutral, having more opportunities for different types of technology that can bring broadband to our citizens, and we're very open in that process.
Mr. Governor, looking at the budget, looking at what you had proposed and what the House had proposed, I understand we're still in a process and things are going to get lined out. But one of the big differences I saw was in spending for social services, particularly in health, the human resource, the human services. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I guess my question is since you had a lot more money allocated out, what was kind of your hopes and intentions with that, having a lot more money allocated to them than in years previous?
Well, I think we're looking at what the programs we think they're going to cost, especially when it comes to entitlement programs, where you have limited flexibility to just have immediate cuts in place right away. So we put together a budget. We feel really good about what we've done. I can tell you that right now there's a good process that's underway, good communications back and forth. And so I won't forecast too much at the end, but I think that you're going to see a good give and take, that people will see more of the executive's perspective. I certainly want to see the legislature's perspective as well. And I think you'll find, I'm hopeful we're going to come to a happy medium. That's why, I'm taking a wait and see approach as the House is working on its product. The Senate is going to roll it out today. But, we try to put resources in based upon what we think the spend is going to be. And that's really important, right? Because we want to have a budget. In those areas, it's harder to just lop it off. You have to build time in when you're making changes to Medicaid or other programs. You can't just say day one, boom. And so I think I'm hopeful that through the work we've done that we're going to see some progress in that area. And I commend the House and the Senate for being willing to engage in that dialogue, because there's a lot of communication going on.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Amelia.
Thanks for being here. Just to kind of piggyback off this question, the House has cut about $60 million out of your proposed budget for foster care in that line item. Do you think that could affect the state's ability to effectively run foster care? And do you feel that the legislature had underfunded foster care during the Justice administration?
I'm not going to talk about what happened in the past. What I will say, though, is we tried to put a budget together that addressed what we think were the kind of structure of the program, because if you have structures in the program and then the program's not changed, then you want to fund based upon how the program is written. Now, over time, I think you're going to see some positive changes. We're going to work on more and more on foster care and CPS, and a lot of these things that are critically important, and that may change the funding levels, but you try to do it based upon the way the law works. What I always wanted to do, my philosophy, and this is the one that we're going to keep pushing, is that when you have ongoing programs, you generally try to have ongoing revenue that matches it, right? And that's what we're trying to do. That's a very common sense proposal. So I think that these issues will likely get addressed during the process, but we know that there are some differences, but that's what communication is all about. And I'm hopeful that as time goes on, that the different parties are going to get together. I think that they will. Fire away.
Yeah.
I think I have time for, after you, one more question.
In recent months, we've seen job cuts in Parkersburg, Morgantown, Fairmont. Any message to the West Virginians who are freaking out about losing their jobs?
We have to do everything imaginable to drive job development here in West Virginia, and that's why we've put a lot of important initiatives into the legislature's hands, and I can tick a few off. We have the universal licensing reciprocity. I think that helps to lure more people into the state. It's going to help in a lot of occupational fields. That's a very good bill. We have a permitting bill that's meant to help West Virginia become world-class in terms of how fast it moves, to make it easier for businesses to locate here. That's really good. We've got the microgrids bill that, as you know, passed 88 to 12, and there were some people speculating, right, that was underwater. It would never, this bill's gone well. I applaud, by the way, every single legislator who voted for that. And so we're very pleased. That really came together very well with different people across the board. So, but that's a really good bill. That's the biggest economic development bill, I think, we've seen here being considered in a long, long time. So we're pushing, and it's nonstop economic development. We just talked about the BEAD program. When you have the right amount of fiber and broadband access, that can be very attractive for businesses and for people to move in. So that's what I'm focusing on extensively. my heart goes out to all the people that are affected, and I know that our team, we're working hard to try to help these people that are in need. And we're going to keep doing that, whether there are opportunities that we know of in the private sector or in the public sector for some people that may lose their jobs. No one wants to lose a job, and my heart goes out to everyone, and we're going to work and fight. So there's so many jobs in West Virginia that we're going to be able to really succeed as a state. So I know that there have been a number of stories recently, but I'm optimistic the long-term arc, if we do what we need to do here, this is going to really work out well for the people of our state. One more question. Anyone? All right. Guys, thank you very much, and round of applause for our heroes.